give her a reason to keep donating.
Okay, so I'm doing a bit of character
But
management.
He's got his own history of fucking adultery.
I don't know what I'm going to get up to.
Yeah. There are two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Two people that love cheating on their spouses.
Yep.
I'm sure Cheryl is just stoked about them spending all this time together now.
Well, she can rest easy knowing that there's 0% chance that he will ever win the election.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about Nicole Shanahan. Elon's got a lot of friends, with benefits and otherwise. And this week, the Wall Street Journal revealed something that's really not at all surprising at this point. Elon and Donald Trump are so close that they talk on the phone multiple times a month, and they're like twirling the cord.
I was just going to say, they talk on corded phones so they can twirl it. No, you hang up.
Hey, what are you doing?
No, you hang up. You hang up. And then he goes, Kimball, get off the phone. Get off the phone. I'm with Donald. Kimball, stop.
Yeah, it's adorable.
It is pretty. Melania, hang up the phone.
Elon's coming.
Baron, stop trying to log on to AOL.
Stop eavesdropping. It's a private conversation.
So here's from their reporting. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have discussed a possible advisory role for the Tesla leader should the presumptive Republican nominee reclaim the White House. Oh, no. The latest sign that the once frosty relationship between the two men has thawed. The role hasn't been fully hammered out and might not happen, people familiar with the talk said, but the two men discussed ways to give Musk formal input and influence over policies related to border security and the economy, both issues on which Musk has grown more vocal. Musk, along with the billionaire investor Nelson Peltz, has also briefed Trump on a plan that they've developed to invest in a data-driven project to prevent voter fraud, according to some other of the people. Peltz and Musk also told Trump of an influence campaign in elite circles that is already underway, in which Musk and his political allies host gatherings of powerful business leaders across the country to try to convince them not to support President Biden's re-election campaign. This is insane.
Oh, this is bad.
First of all, just based on Trump's track record, he's absolutely using Elon and he won't get this position. But there is a chance because there's so few people left that would just willingly throw themselves over to Trump, knowing that it could end badly, that this might actually happen. And look, Joe Biden is winning no favors. He is a very bad person who is willingly letting a genocide happen. But Jesus Christ, the other option is insane.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about Biden, but if you're Elon Musk, this man just signed some of the harshest tariffs in a generation to specifically protect your shitty fucking car company.
Which is also ironic because Trump did the same thing.
Yeah. Anyway, it continues. As recently as 2 years ago, Trump and Musk were publicly trading insults. But in recent months, the two men are developing a friendly rapport and talk on the phone several times a month as the election nears, the people familiar with their talk said. The pair have held discussions on immigration, technology, and science, including the U.S. Space Force. Their views and interests have grown more aligned, people said, with Musk calling Trump directly on his cell phone.
Ooh.
Trump has told Musk, one of the world's wealthiest people, he wants to find a way to get him more involved if he wins in November. Musk, who has a long history of flouting convention in the business world, has signaled he isn't interested in simply writing a check to a super PAC, which can accept unlimited amounts of money from donors and is a popular way for the billionaire class to support candidates. Instead, he has elected to use his clout in elite business and technology circles to help defeat Biden by galvanizing the support of influential allies. I wonder if that's the reason when Kid Rock called Trump and he didn't answer.
He was
probably on the phone with Elon.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, call waiting. Oh, no.
Oh, it's Kid Rock.
It's just, that's Bob.
He's drunk dialing again. So this, of course, it's all pretty surprising. If you recall previous statements Donald Trump has made about Elon Musk, like this one back in 2022, when Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all of his many subsidized...
Yeah, it's unfortunate some of these get stuck where you can't upgrade their item level to all the way. Maybe there could be an item that dropped that would improve. If it dropped again, I guess that is effectively the same thing. Alright, so I upgraded pretty well. This cloak is atrocious though. So fuck master. Um, okay. Everything has verse. It's basically resilience.
Guys projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough, driverless cars that crash, or rocket ships to nowhere, without which subsidies he'd be worthless, and telling me how he was a big Trump fan and Republican, I could have said, drop to your knees and beg, and he would have done it. But then
Rockets to nowhere.
then again, neither of these guys, they're very principled. It's all about power. So
Yeah.
if Trump wins in November, I guess you can look forward to Elon Musk having an active role in how this country is governed. And not just Musk. I'm sure that the very influential and important and rich business leaders he's talking to also want a cut of that pie.
God. We live in hell.
Yeah. Also, like, it almost is a threat that he's like, and I'm not going to write a check to a super PAC. So this is your chance to get me on to do stuff.
Yeah. Man. What a terrible, seems like the easiest thing to be like, hey, you see that? Can you see that into that future?
Yeah.
Looks pretty bad, right? But me, Joe Biden, I'm going to offer you I'm offering you a better alternative. I'm not just going to say, hey, I'm not that. So therefore, I guess vote for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something actively to try and improve the lives of people. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Every election is worse than the last one. How does this keep fucking happening?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, let's move on to our weekly roundup of Cybertruck disappointment. Now, we previously read from a local news article from the state of Maine about the hostility that one of the state's 2 Cybertruck owners has been enduring from the general public. A lot of thumbs down, middle finger. But we appear to now have some information about Maine's other Cybertruck.
It's such a big effect for a healer. Yeah, I know. Shit. That includes not just. All right. So I'm gonna buy 2 of these. And I mean, might as well buy the 3rd because this is my final Mac. Yeah, this is just available on the. So, um, I think versatility goes very far because it gives you both damage and healing. Haste is also really good. So you get everything up off cooldown faster. see if I can. See, cooldown reduction and casting speed. So I'm trying to think. So we got weapon. This check. What's this one? Just the stats is also pretty. Um, and still have. Something. Just to do it. So I think I have everything pretty much. You can make something for your head. So now the again, can only use that for holy spell. Such um it's annoying how you can't disenchant or sell some of these things. You know, apparent reason. Uh, Okay, that's all this is. So, let's do that. Five. This is clean up for those are interesting. Slow melee attackers. It's kind of these as well are not really necessary. I think I'm gonna bank these instead of something. Potions. Should set that up. Okay, now my bags are cleared up for the first time since a very long time. I also just done that. Let's go into the bank real quick as well. All this pretty much stuff. Maybe. This is one. No, I'm still not. Um, so, let's. Okay, so let's. Choose between three. Do not care how much. Choose. Okay. Um, more or less solves all of those issues. Is,
Truck owner who clearly feels that the public wouldn't be so mean to the Cybertruck if it just got to know it. Check out this flyer that was spotted in South Portland, Maine. Come check out the Cybertruck. Get a close-up look and learn what it's all about.
Look
Bring
at
the
it.
whole
Just
family
look
with
at
you.
it.
Curious?
Ed
Is it a
Bassmaster
car
should
or
go
a
there.
truck? Why does it look like that?
Ed
What's it made
Bassmaster
of?
should go to
What
that
can it
thing
do? Who
May
makes it?
27th.
Get pictures and videos.
Oh, no,
See
it's already
inside
passed.
and out. Now, the
If
meetup seems to
only.
have already taken place this past Monday, assuming that the weather was nice.
Yeah.
We can't find any documentation of how it went down. Hopefully,
Perfect invitation.
if anyone did attend, they were not seriously
Oh my god,
injured.
it cut my entire leg open.
Because, yeah, this week we also learned of a new, exciting way that the Cybertruck can kill you.
So this story comes to us once again from the beautiful forums over at cybertruckownersclub.com, where a post about finally receiving delivery starts off with the usual complaints and cope, and eventually turns into a potentially life or death situation. Picked it up today. Woohoo! Sloppy condition at delivery. Ugh. Windshield inside is disastrously dirty. There's a smeary film over most of it when the sun hits it directly. I cannot see anything. Super dangerous. Body panels have some sort of splattery overspray on them that doesn't wipe off. It just smears around. Hood is covered in the rail dust rust spots. I'll barkeeper's friend the entire truck, so whatever. A rubber seal along tonneau is flipping loose. Service department closed, so couldn't fix on the spot. Wife heard a loud noise while driving a main road, 60 miles an hour, so we pulled over to check. The large upper panel on the driver's side in the bed flew off and thankfully remained in the bed. Otherwise, it's great. Heck, it's great even with these issues. The tires and wheels look great in person. Now for the ugly.
I love when everything is so bad that you're like, oh, but those tires and wheels.
They look so cool.
Yeah, really, the real highlight of this car is those tires and wheels.
Yeah.
But yeah, now for the ugly. 2 of the delivery/advisor employees were with my wife and me as we walked around the truck inspecting it. I noticed a little pit/divot or something on the tailgate. I licked my left thumb and tried to rub the spot to see if it was actually a divot or just some stray adhesive or something. Ouch! Crap! I jerked my arm back and the employees chuckled jokingly, saying, "This thing can be dangerous."
Oh, God.
I, too, thought it was a little slice like a paper cut, until the blood started pouring. A lot of blood. The 2 employees scrambled and took off to find something to help stop the bleeding. The puddle of blood was more than twice that size by the time I was able to get it bandaged. After wrapping it up tightly, wiping off, and washing up, I was able to complete delivery. A few hours passed without bleeding through the bandage, so I figured the gash closed up and it would be fine. I unwrapped my wrist and boom, spurts of blood all over the kitchen island. Which leaves me here, at the ER.
Where I'm posting. This thing's got barnacles on it. It's got factory-made barnacles that will cut you deeply.
It's like shark skin. You gotta only one direction. The other direction, you fuck up.
And yeah, this is the second time we've seen a Cybertruck injury on this forum that's so bad we can't even show it to you uncensored. But basically, the truck sliced a deep half-inch gash into the guy's wrist that looks like it could have been potentially even worse if it were less than an inch to the right. Seems bad that you could get that kind of injury just by touching this damn thing, but there's probably something in the manual about never touching the car without knife-proof protective gear.
What were you thinking? Touching that with your bare hands?
You need to dress up like you're going swimming with great white sharks.
Yeah.
You need chainmail to touch this car. In a similar vein, the Cybertruck's warranty apparently gets voided if you ever drive it off-road or even over curbs or potholes, which is hilarious considering how many Cybertruck owners have very publicly documented themselves doing exactly that. And recently, that's included someone who was filmed trying and repeatedly failing to cross a shallow river in their Cybertruck. This video is so good.
Yeah.
You can just see the multiple points of failure.
This is going to be so sick. Make sure the camera's rolling.
It is Memorial Weekend. We're going to go take the Cybertruck down to the river.
I'm going to go ford a river like the fucking Oregon Trail.
And it's not even like a big river. It's not even that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, 1.5 feet deep.
Yes. So at least all the water didn't short out the car, leaving the occupants trapped inside. But still, I mean, that
I would have enchanting for
very much.
So the same is probably true for the genius who decided to do donuts in his Cybertruck for a big crowd of people and immediately ran over a bunch of them. So great job.
Don't tell Elon.
The driver assist was engaged. I was losing control during the donuts, so I turned on the self-driving mode, and it attacked all the pedestrians.
I was doing the donuts, and it was going great, but then full self-driving saw some children and said,
well, got to take care of those.
Gotta do something about it.
I've been summoned.
Those living children over there. Anyway, as we previously discussed, the Cybertruck hasn't been great for Tesla's brand reputation, but it's also just one of several factors, the main ones being Elon Musk's own reputation and public fears over self-driving, justified fears. And this week, we have yet another poll showing just how far Tesla's reputation has fallen in just a few short years. Here's Axios. Tesla Motors' brand reputation continues to slip over the last year as the antics of polarizing CEO Elon Musk and other issues tarnished its once impeccable image, according to new Axios Harris Poll 100 survey results. Why it matters. Tesla soared to 8th place in 2021's rankings of America's 100 most visible companies by their perceived image, but has since plummeted to 63rd, suggesting Musk and his company flew too high and too fast, like Icarus of Greek myth.
Now these wings are ready. They're all good. Let's go.
Yeah. Obviously Icarus, you don't fly that close to the sun. It's not in the warranty, idiot. It's your fault.
Fly at a very specific level, at a very specific speed. And you're not supposed to touch the wings. And also, don't get them wet.
You know, in like probably 2 years, everyone's going to have
wings.
Icarus wings, probably flying to the sun.
So that's it. There you go. There's your Elon. Finally, after 1 week.
There's your news.
Yeah. If you want to watch our most recent episode, the billionaires are at it again. They're getting on submarines. They're going down to the Titanic, and they're ready for you to laugh at them.
Hey, I'd rather them go down to the Titanic than do whatever Elon's doing.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Anyways, like the video, please. Comment on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Click the join button. Click the thank button. Do whatever you want to help with engagement and support the channel. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon. But first, watch these videos over here. We got the submarines. We got Rudy pissing. We got all the stuff for you to watch.
Pissing Rudy.
Check those out, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
For many people, it's their first pet, the humble goldfish. Swimming in a tank in your house, it's hard to imagine it's much of a threat. But when released into a Great Lake, a goldfish can imperil the fragile ecosystem of the largest freshwater system in the world. Christopher Booker has the story.
Yeah, you can pull the bottom board.
Ecologist Andrea Court is beginning another day at the Coots Paradise Fishway in Hamilton, Ontario. Sitting between Lake Ontario and the Coots Paradise Marsh, this fishway acts as a border wall for fish. The goal? To keep invasive species out of this marsh, an important spawning and nursery area for native fish.
We have a series of baskets or cages that are underwater. So we have a crane, it lifts the basket, dumps them into a container, and then we sort the fish. At that point, I can decide which way the fish are going to go.
With the flick of a wrist, Court sends native fish, like this channel catfish, into the marsh to spawn. Invasives, like this common carp, aren't so lucky.
We turn away anywhere from about 2,000 in recent years to 9,000 carp.
And when you say turn away, you send them back?
Yeah, I send them back to the harbor. Yes, they get denied entry into the marsh.
When the fishway began operation in 1997, the main concern was invasive carp, which exploded in population in the marsh, displacing native fish and depleting aquatic plants. But in the past decade, as carp populations have declined, a gilded icon of childhood pets has been making a splash.
So here we go. Here's a goldfish. It seemed like we moved the carp out and the goldfish kind of moved in. So starting in 2013 was really when we started seeing more numbers, higher numbers of them.
But these goldfish don't look like the friendly little guys swimming in tanks at your local pet shop. Even their trademark color, bred into them in captivity, can disappear in the wild.
This is a goldfish, but it's not gold.
Well, it's not very advantageous to be bright orange in the wild, and so this is more of its natural color. It can obviously be much more camouflaged.
Kept in a bowl and fed a controlled diet, goldfish are small, unassuming pets. But when they're released into lakes and ponds like this one, they gain access to an endless supply of food, and they can grow into large, destructive pests.
They do grow quite large. I think the world record is 9 pounds, but
9 pounds.
9 pounds. But the biggest one that we've seen here is around 40 centimeters, so about half that size.
John Midwood is a research scientist with the Great Lakes Laboratory for Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences. He says these feral goldfish, which researchers estimate could number into the tens of millions in the Great Lakes alone, most likely originate from home fish tanks.
But what we think is happening is that people have goldfish at home, have them in their aquarium, and when they're done, they don't quite know what to do, and so they'll release them into the natural environment because they don't want to, kill that fish that they do love. The same features or adaptations of goldfish that let them really thrive at home in that bowl that sits on a shelf and doesn't get any new water for a while, isn't clean, those same adaptations let them thrive in these systems that are pretty degraded.
He says goldfish are not only competing with native fish, but literally muddying the water around them.
And what goldfish can do is they'll actually disturb the substrate or the sediment and mix it up, and it gets all murky and turbid, and that stops the vegetation from growing. They're one of the most challenging fishes to have in this system. There's other aquatic invasive species here, but we think goldfish are likely to have in the near future the biggest impact on that goal of trying to recover the aquatic vegetation.
Midwood says he would like to see these invasive goldfish euthanized, but there's simply no safe and affordable way to do so because of the contaminants they carry as bottom feeders in an industrial waterway.
Those fish pick up a lot of those contaminants, and so if you're trying to remove them, there have been challenges in the past in terms of where you dispose them, because they have heavy concentrations of things like PCBs and metals. Once an aquatic invasive species is in your system, you can't do much other than try to, keep its numbers down. And so the best path is really prevention.
But pet owners grappling with unwanted fish are often faced with a dilemma.
I had asked a few people that had ponds if they wanted them, nobody wanted them, so I really didn't know what I was going to do with them.
Across the border in Erie, Pennsylvania, Neely Irwin was the reluctant owner of an unusually named goldfish that was quickly outgrowing its tank.
He was named that one because every time someone would come in the house, they would just go, that one. And I'm like, yeah, that's his name. He's the hugest.
Under the right conditions, goldfish can actually live up to 30 to 40 years, and this can leave their owners in deep water. That's why the Erie Zoo started a one-of-a-kind pet project last year.
This is our Last Chance Lagoon. This is the main pond.
The Last Chance Lagoon gives unwanted goldfish and koi a luxurious new home, a 23,000-gallon tank in the heart of the zoo. But according to Erie Zoo's Heather Gula, the primary function of the project is to educate the public.
We want to teach them about invasives because that is a big problem on the Great Lakes. We also want to teach them about proper pet care and expectations. That is something that a lot of zoos work on educating the public about, because you have a lot of people that want exotic pets or bring in some of those that they just don't know how to care for.
The Last Chance Lagoon intake forms tell the story of floundering fish owners.
This one's name is Pumpkin Bob. The owner did not realize how long they would live. They did get Pumpkin Bob at a fair, and he was living in a 1-gallon tank.
Along with about 50 other fish, Pumpkin Bob is now tank mates with Irwin's fish, that one, who's been living in the lagoon since last fall.
It's that one! Be free!
They needed something better.
Hello, my friends. It's been a long time, and a lot has happened. So to catch you up to speed, I'm gonna faithfully, chronologically, take you through the tragic fate that befell one brave Night Elf warrior of the Alliance. It all began with the death of my server, the fall of Noggenfogger. What happened is that the server grew 100% horde dominated. I'm genuinely serious. We lost the race war. This collided worlds. Merged with Mograine, I was left a broken warrior in a corrupted world. No friends, no guild, and the greatest crime of all. Blizzard! My name is Swagway, Commander of the Death Rolls in Ironforge, General of the 4th Prevenge Backup Raiding Legion, and loyal servant to the true Emperor. most dope, friend to a murdered gnome, husband to a top shelf certified 5-star Bane WoW GF, the only remaining legionnaire of Noggin Fogger, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. I knew that to regain myself, I had to leave everything behind.
You have fun in that, dude.
So I went to the time portal and entered the Tunnel of Fate. Swimming into the ether of reality, Swak's consciousness melded with the inner multitude, giving the mind and soul of the warrior a single, eternal moment of rest. Then, like a phoenix from the ashes, our hero awakens, exactly when the world needed them the most. Cataclysm Classic pre-patch, Firemaw EU, a bastion of the Alliance. Ever since I made those videos, my fake name has been taken on every server. Part of my gambit, naturally. Due to the allowance of special characters from your language, I get to invoke my Danish heritage. No one could snag my true name, Swick Wictus. At my feet stood an entire world to explore, and I could apply myself to the task at hand. Execute by far the coolest sponsorship I've ever done in my life. Only one company is so based that they'll hire me to make exactly the content you want to see. We start our journey in New Stormwind. It becomes immediately apparent to me that something is slightly off. Something cataclysmic has happened to this once peaceful place. Formerly the capital and stronghold of the Alliance. Now a transmogrification station with Bengals and GDKP advertisers. Dystopian. The very first thing I did was remedy my greatest regret in World of Warcraft. Never getting around to respecking into a top pumper DPS Fury Warrior. When I found out that by reaching level 69, I'd be able to dual wield two-handed weapons. That is the precise moment I called in sick from editing this video and clocked in on post-haste filling this bar 9 times. Granted, I had no idea how to play this game, but with a little bit of luck I found a portal to another portal, which took me to another dimension. Coming here gave me a couple glimpses from a past life. None of them were pleasant. I walk the path of anguish where I slay various monsters from Hearthstone. At one moment, whilst standing and hitting, I developed a conscious thought. The leveling is extremely slow and tedious. Is this bad game design? That is when my gaze struck upon a button I wasn't familiar with. The Dungeon Finder. Clicking it irreversibly changed the course of my life. At the expense of not walking 3 hours to your destination, then wiping 7 times and also talking to each other during the process. Now, you get to actually play the game. This is insane. You get the role you want, if someone drops out you get a quick replacement, and after the instance you can continue where you left off in the open world. This is a fantastic feature that objectively only improves World of Warcraft. 0 out of 10, L, Common Blizzard L, stop ruining my classic experience. Why are you ruining the game? In my first dungeon, I spent 2 full rotations hovering over auto attack, pondering whether I should put it on my attack bar. That is precisely the low APM slop you came here for, knowing I would deliver. The next move for Swak was to cut a straight line through the Hellfire Peninsula. At the end of the zone, I reach Yuake. I tell him it's tough out, and he leaves, just like my dad. I try to follow him and immediately get slain while my Q pops. I don't know why the guards saw me as a threat, but I will commend them for being extremely effective at preemptive self-defense. In my moments of need, even beyond the grasp of death, Dungeon Finder saves me from the core gameplay experience. The Slave Pens, a subterranean water pump station where you fight box trucks and nagas. Don't worry about it, I get to say it, I got the pass. As you can see against the boss, here at this point I still did not have my rotation down perfectly. Quagmire pukes all over me, instantly felling the Swak. I win the roll on the pants though, another debate won. At another time, I let this guy out the cage, after which his manifesting assailants jumped me. Another debate lost. They be frame 1 Gunga gliding low-key. The Underbog. It really bothered me that the bog giants are so big that oftentimes I can't even see the entire damn mob. It was only after 400 hours of gameplay that I discovered the options setting. Shameful display of lukewarm intelligence. Whereas the slave pens were blue and filled with boxtrocs and nagas, the underbog is green and boasts bog tribesmen and various hentai monsters. A thematic that would conspicuously rear its head all throughout the critically acclaimed TBC dungeon design. Let me be very clear, I kill dragons. I strongly assume they're evil in this game. During my time in Zangar Marsh, I also collected Naga Claws, filled my bags with items that will surely be useful to me, and found out the hard way what happens when the tank's a little low and I press challenging shout. During an escort mission, I underwent a lapse in judgment and went for the mob under the bridge. This gave me the cinematic experience of RP walking again. I practiced holding my breath whilst deep dive shish kebabbing some eel fillet and somehow ended up back in time as a human, helping an orc fight a shadow dragon. Me when her parents are out of the house. Oh yeah, there were also hydras, who were definitely Myron. And most importantly, after all this time, I finally fixed my goddamn skill setup. I also made some friends on top of Telrador, a giant tree that I genuinely thought you could jump down, having eyeballed the shallowness of the water. In extension to that, I want to give out a public service announcement. This is not how you use the parachute cloak. You have to click the icon. Third time's the charm, I guess. Now, whatever you do, don't accept this quest without raiding it, and especially don't click the Stormcrow amulet, because you will be turned into a raven, and you will experience the scenic route. With grace, Swick Wictus dings 69. It's pathetic to wield one weapon. Wielding two? Now that's respectable. I strongly assumed that I had to be around level 70 for this next zone, and then maybe this was Cataclysm, or maybe this zone up here. I was a fucking idiot. This is the Burning Crusade. I'm in another dimension. That's Wrath of the Lich King. Cataclysm is in the future. Upon discovering that there was no way for me to do all the quests and make this video in 3 weeks, I intently focused my unbridled rage towards one goal: achieving greatness. With the Gnomish transporter, I port my swacky ass back to Teneris, from where I fly to Theramore Isle. Here I catch a boat to Manethil Harbor, and I gotta give credit where it's due. Extremely realistic game design. You can see it really has been raining here the whole time. No time to ponder though. I fly to Stormwind, a quick pit stop to sell all my netherweave cloth and bank all the stuff I definitely need. I'm not a hoarder, guys, okay? At last, I make the iciest move of taking the boat to Northrend. Crazy how the first expansion was another dimension, but this one we can just sail there. Was it actually there the whole time? Or maybe it emerged from the ocean? Much to think about. No one knows! Outside of Valiant's Keep, I fatefully encounter Mygra Keenfeather.
Hello!
Who provided me with purpose. If I could scrounge together but 1,000 gold, I get to fly in World of Warcraft. Alright, it's gonna be a pleasure doing business with you. I'm clicking the eye and taking the boat to Valgard. Whilst I could catch dragons with a net and fish for crates, even light beacons and fight battles of times past. Thing is, I would just rather Alt F4 than try to earn 500 gold that way. World of Warcraft. In reality, the crafting is fake. It's really all about transitioning between war, gender, and the world. The latter of which I had yet to reacquaint myself with. It was time for Swak's lucrative pilgrimage. The very first thing I did was die in battle. Shit. Sadly, the EverQuest music ends just like that, on a flat note. Now, where was I flying? Right, Dalaran, most certainly the UK of Azeroth, a multicultural hub with a 60% unemployment rate. Their solution to crime? Gated neighborhoods. Need I say more? The resemblance is uncanny. Look, that was filler in between 20 dungeons. I won't elaborate. I will only brag about the loot I got. Ingvar's axe, a sick Viking helmet, and some nutty shoulders. With world record pace, I jump into the well for no reason, landing me in the underbelly. Here I come upon something truly wretched. PvP gear vendors. Knowing that historically, I've absolutely despised open world PvP as a warrior, I thought these were completely irrelevant to me. Little did I know. At the end of the sewers, I received a stark reminder that Dalaran is in fact a floating city in the sky. Knowing I could safely fly away on my parrot, I equipped the parachute cape and stay true to my core beliefs. Video games are fun! Edging my way towards 80, I knew I had to become bis as fuck. Bis cheese. Bis Pratt. Bis gendered. So I decided to go for the deraged war axe, which led me to the Arena of Anguish. Isn't it wonderful that you have to complete 6 different fights, but everybody can tag the quest NPC, and only one fight can occur at a time. So if we just do the 6 fights in the correct order, we all get to move on. If everybody just exuded a little bit of patience and teamwork, it wouldn't take very long. But I know the odds of these people being mentally deficient, so I spam my quest every single time I can. Even the very first mob was too strong for me. It was my saving grace that these ADHD-riddled basement dwellers cannot physically look at a mob for 10 seconds without pressing buttons. All in all, I delayed these people who were almost done when I arrived for an hour. Having them slug through all of my fights was something that made me feel not even a little bit of remorse. Cha-ching! Now that's an upgrade. But what is a brand new weapon really, without some vermin scum upon which to christen the blade? This is where Swag started absolutely pumping numbers. These spiders ain't shit. I'm giving arachnids swagophobia.
Even the mighty can fall.
So true. Having reached a high enough level to unlock a new dungeon, I decided to try my luck at the Nexus. Lord knows my instincts weren't gonna cut it. Look, when I run an instance for the first time, I feel bad for the people in my party, but I outright refuse to watch a guide on mechanics. I don't study video games, I play them very poorly. As soon as I saw the squad mount up and fly their dragons to the next platform, I knew I had finally progressed to the expansion with dragon riding. So I mount my noble steed, which doesn't work in this dungeon, and use it to achieve terminal velocity. I told them sorry, first time dragon riding, and they promptly booted me from the party. I ran this shit again just to prove to random people on the internet that I really am capable of overcoming 15-year-old video game mechanics. You guys, you're the people. See, I did it. You proud of me? After turbo spamming dungeons, I pivot to the world of Warcraft. Check out this accidental PB on not knowing how to record a video game. Turn the HUD off for the cinematic experience. Forget that I'm nearly level 80, then open the options to take my helmet off just in time to ruin the ding. Excellent. Last time I hit max level, it became the end of my journey. This time, it was a mere stepping stone. You see, the game now has one basic, essential feature that I always thought Classic was lacking. and endgame. Here's how it works. You can outrun heroic dungeons, which are much harder but also grant you far better gear. Slowly but steadily, you can climb the ladder of chaos that is gear score requirements. If Blizzard didn't give me complete creative freedom, I would have probably played the game as they, the developers, intended. But since I'm the freest swag on the block, I just spam queue Alterac Valley for honor points. You could play the game here, but you're not legally required to. So if you happen to have 2 monitors and perhaps a distinct deficit of attention, I will say there are multiple strong contenders for valid strategies on how to succeed in Alterac Valley. Having saved up a good chunk of honor points, I realized that if I diversified my purchases, I could significantly raise my gear score. But of course, I am a swag of carnal instinct, so I buy the strongest sword and absolutely skank the battlefields until I boasted full Wrathful Gladiator PvP gear. I felt that to truly be prepared for Cataclysm, I had to limit test my raw ability against the current highest tier raid, Icecrown Citadel. The thing about getting suspiciously invited to an ICC 25 raid when you're a fair portion below the eye level requirement is that you're getting scammed. They are 6 out of 12 bosses deep, every item is hard reserve or GBID, and if they let your pathetic, pugging ass roll on anything, it's vendor trash. In this situation, expecting anything more than failing miserably is very ambitious. The week after, I tried again. This would go down as Swag's worst raid performance of all time. But just so you can appreciate it fully, let me set the stage. I message Cute Mail for an invite saying, I'm Swig Rictus. He invites me to a 25-man heroic, which was, with certainty, doomed beyond repair. That's when these fine gentlemen poached me for an ICC 10-man normal. Only after I port to the meeting stone do they disingenuously ask me if I can off-tank some of the bosses. I could lie here, but honesty is way funnier. I have never completed ICC and I refuse to equip a shield. We will skank. I get kicked. Rest in piss. I tried to get back into the other raid with the message, invite me, had to do an AV, but this didn't work. Then I messaged the person from the 10-man if they needed a DPS and get invited again. Now that they had a tank, they seemed more chill with me not off-tanking, oddly enough. Little did they know, I was about to off-tank as hard as you fucking can. I want to show this clip on Alter to give you a pure insight into my friend's Discord server, how we treat each other, and to cleanse myself of any wrongdoing. Who needs enemies when they have such great friends?
Hey, did you see chat?
Friends? No?
John, scroll up.
Is there?
Scroll down look at the group. Down a little bit. Down. Down.
What?
Up. Down. Wait.
Oh fuck, oh my god. I'm sorry. Oh fuck. I'm so sorry, yeah, oh my god. You doxed me at the same time. Oh my fucking god, you fucking asshole. You asshole, you fucking bastard.
Wait, what happened?
So just to break that down, Cody spams my docs in the world chat, an act of malice that successfully distracted me from the current state of affairs. I was turbo sprinting it into the boss. Not just did I get kicked immediately, they also cleared the boss off my half-decent pull, locking me out of clearing ICC at all before Cataclysm, through knowing that I had just sustained the unmitigated, blunt force of the authentic, classic experience. My soul could now rest peacefully. Day of Cataclysm. I spent a good few hours surveying the continents. Flying around Azeroth, I noticed a world in disarray. Discrepancies stood out from the calm world I remembered. There were dimensional abnormalities. All this pure chaos manifesting in broad daylight. I could tell something cataclysmic was about to occur. I had to go where a night elf could feel safe. Darnassus. From here, I guided myself with primal instincts towards the guild I was destined to join. Rage. Our guild leader's name? Revenge. You couldn't make this shit up. Look, I'm pretty sure 99% of our guild was formed an hour before the expansion dropped. I was there for the Great Purge, so I consider myself one of the founding fathers. I will henceforth expect the highest level of content creator privileges from this guild. Or else, I will death roll this entire server into the fucking ground. Don't try me, you got the wrong one. What happened to the last guild? Well, when I dinged 80, no one said grats. I congratulated myself and G-quit. Very tragic. Yearning for adventure, Swak wasted not a single moment in journeying to Mount Hyjal. This doesn't seem optimal. I mean, the Firelord Awakening I can live with, but the amount of people tagging these mobs is unbearable. I've never played an expansion on launch day, and I just want to say, the servers, stable. The quests, doable. The community, authentic. I didn't want to rush to max level with a dungeon group, so instead I 100%ed this expansive, multifaceted zone. As someone without the faintest clue of the actual WoW lore, here's my take on what I think happens. Due to reasons, this place is at war, but I as the player am the chosen one fated to end it. Absolute legend Malfurion Stormrage somehow survived mixing fellweed with ghost mushrooms. He is out of his mind coming back from the Emerald Dream. Therefore, I humor his ridiculous requests. No one tell him that the battle for Azeroth is currently being fought, and our greatest warrior has been sent to chuck bears out of a tree. I think his personal interests got in the way when he made me cook up another batch of nature's delight. But who am I to judge? I battle weed to make Bileberry brew, which makes me the breaker of chains. I did a Kamehameha, Baron getting farts on me and gracefully teaches how to dunk from a three-pointer. Then I extinguished a fire and greened out. Next thing I remember, I was fighting the King of Moltron alongside a giant turtle, and this is where things start getting weird. I joust with the controls from Flappy Bird in a race against other players to destroy 40 eggs, then start taking quests from a toilet. I put on a couple pounds and sneak attack some low-calorie folk, then strip a dragon naked for strategic combat purposes of them having less armor. It is at this point that the Emerald Gate is attacked by an army of evil. In the story, this is where Ysera sees solid character development. Her growth is insane. I inspire the troops, slay the unworthy, and become a nuclear armament. Then and only then do I go to the Firelands and slay Ragnaros in his own domain, permanently ending his tyranny. I kinda forgot about that along the way, not gonna lie, but all in all, that was a one-to-one faithful retelling of the Battle of Mount Hyjal. All in all, that was a pretty wholesome experience. I did become Dark Swak at one point, but it was a necessary evil. Due to my nimble, unrelenting nature, I never skip a beat. I'm carnal, vicious, and morbidly locked in. From Stormwind, I take a portal to the Maelstrom. This is the core of the problem. Deathwing destroyed the World Pillar, causing Azeroth to collide with the Elemental Plane. Allegedly, this vortex is a gateway between worlds. Unfortunately, it's hard to confirm that allegation when there's only one wyvern at a time and 30 people. I better queue up for a dungeon. This could take some time. I'm really just that slick with it, huh?
I hope you have a strong stomach. Traveling through the breach is not for the weak. This is it. Brace yourself. This is the Temple of Earth. It's the most important structure in Deepholm.
Deepholm is one of the coolest places in WoW. To me, this is the true underwater zone of this expansion. We're under the ocean. I'm omnidirectional. All we're missing is the water, but my imagination knows few boundaries. I live in my own headcanon, and this zone is completely wet for me. I will admit, I definitely failed in the war though. This guy wanted me to free his dad, but I just think it's funny that he runs so fast. This guy's yeeting. He's fastest. He's more nimble than me. Instead of doing what I could to mend the rift between worlds, I used the Temple of Earth as a dungeon finder fortress. In Cataclysm, there are 7 new dungeons, 4 of which you get access to pretty quickly. It's just such bad game design that they have Dungeon Finder, cause that way I can do the Vizir and Uldum content even though I didn't level in those zones. How awful. This way I can just go there when I want to. But as I would come to find later, you don't want to go to Vizir. But I digress. Its underwater Atlantis-esque dungeon, the Throne of Tides, is pretty damn cool. It returns to the core thematic of today on the game designer's thinly veiled fetish, hentai monsters grabbing me, which is something I'm actually quite accustomed to at this point. I think it's kinda crazy that for my first dungeon of the expansion, I get randomly matched with my guild leader. You cannot tell me that Fate's hand doesn't guide the SWAC towards revenge. It is clear for anyone with eyes to see. Not just does this dungeon boast cutscenes and an elevator, it also culminates in a pretty unique boss fight. You basically just fight off mobs that are fucking with Neptulon until this squid shows up, and he hates that guy.
The beast has returned. It must not pollute my waters.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Climate Crusader SWAC Victus. I don't spread awareness, I physically murder pollution. Direct action, justified self-defense on behalf of the water. If I may make a comparison, this is the wildest mechanic in Classic. In Cataclysm, some of the mechanics have so many layers and are so complicated that I have absolutely no idea what to do. If only Blizzard added some type of visual indicator or just anything to signal to me as the player where to stand or what to do, but it's just too hard, man. It's just too complex. Maybe if I'd played this game for 25 years, I would know how to handle this. Pro tip, if you want to use the Tornado Transit, click on it. Don't jump into it. But if you would like the scenic route, do as I. This is the Vortex Pinnacle, a summit of cyclones with terrifying spinning faces, fallen stars, and absolute speedrunning of the highest caliber. Home to the Storm Dragon Altarius, and known for its tourist attraction, the aforementioned Tornado Transit. By the way, there was a time when I was dealing 10 damage. Now it seems like I'm definitely putting a lot more numbers on the screen. I just don't like when my efforts are mitigated. There's nothing quite like popping all your shouts and trinkets only to get an immediate 8-second Dark Tornado timeout. This is the fabled moment in time where SWAC Victus started getting gear, and lots of gear. From Tornado Tom, I get the Red Sky Pendant and the head cover of Fog. Inexperienced beginners to World of Warcraft may be under the false pretense that you don't need to roll on tank gear as a DPS warrior. But please understand, I'm off-tanking, low-key. In the Temple of Assad, I also become the righteous wielder of Lightning Flash. I know I barely pull the trigger these days, but this is still huge, cause in WoW, your gun functions as a magical relic. It applies all these stats even when you don't got the blicky out. The genie also dropped the leg guards of Winnowing Wind, and in the Chamber of Fanatics, I acquired my new main hand weapon, the Sword of the Bottomless Pit. Due to the limited gene pool in World of Warcraft, you only have 2 fingers. But now I have a ring for each of them. The Nova Band, a 3rd ring. I put that one on my SWAC.
You tiny angry woman! I'll tell you everything! What do you want to know?
During the rest of my time in Deepholm, I used modern technology to extract information from a bastard ogre.
I would sooner die!
I teamed up with a mechanical golem to collect giant mushrooms and slay fungal monstrosities, after which I got absolutely destroyed. We're talking fundamentally dismantled by someone who was just smarter than me. In this quest, you gotta grant a boon to 12 Stonehearth defenders. I'd been camping this guy in particular, waiting for his boon to run out. This is when trouble came looking for me. Is this quest bugged? No. Boom. The better player won. I can't even be a hater, it was a skill difference. When someone humbles you, it's an opportunity to let the ego dissipate and reclaim what was taken from you. Because this guy was a couple frames too early, I get to snag up 2 boons. With the help of a Geomancer, I rained boulders on the opposition. Then I collected Thunderstones, which I also rained down on the ops. And at the end of it all, I really hope the middle fragment of the World Pillar will be enough, because I became Mol Victus, simply gave up on the war and went to Uldum. Clicking on a camel gave me a cutscene that was just one long still shot of a statue. Then I came to my senses in a cage that disconnected me every time I moved. Truly terrifying game design that challenges the status quo. At this point, I was nearly level 84 and finally had a high enough item level to try my very best at the lost city of Tulvir. Our tank, the Paladin, aka Buzz Lightyear, claims that a bug made him the tank. I think we all know which button he pressed. But anyways, we had a little kerfuffle and he wasn't too happy. So I can see how it was even more frustrating for him when Lockmaw dropped the Sand Dune belt, one of the best tanking belts for this phase. I of course won the role, to which he said, Why you need an eye tank? I guess Warrior wants to tank. I educated them. Massive upgrade for DPS also. They shamed and kicked me for this, and I wouldn't want it any other way. This is where I ascended and began appearing visually how I truly am on the inside. The fucking shining light of the Alliance. I don't fuck around! I'm nimble! Fucking Christ. Between me and max level laid a staggering 9 million XP journey. To say that I spammed dungeons would be putting it mildly. I went on a dungeon Inquisition. Exactly 3 hours and 54 minutes after I Hitler needed the Sand Dune belt, I disgustingly replaced it with the belt of the Forge Master. Hey, you know what? This belt is really good for upgrade Loki. Yeah, this is heretical, and in the future I might just grow as a person. Not yet though. I'd rather have my 4 party members ride a dragon. I assume mine is just bugged, and then by the time I find out that hitting it doesn't punish the dragon, but rather frees it from the net, I was already slightly behind. This is of course tactical. I've mastered the art of war, and this lets me lay down suppressive artillery, ruining the XP gains on all the mobs I tag. If I can't have those gains, no one can. This is where I got flirtatious. I started hitting on big dudes by severing the Achilles heel. Love is a boundless language that manifests in many forms. I know that when I painfully bang my head into the wall that is the steep learning curve, when I get farted on, when they humble me, when I'm the only person willing to jump into the snake pit and pull the lever, I am merely strengthening my resilience. 2 item drops catapulted Swak into another realm of gameplay. Raj was kind enough to meet with a terrible fate just so I could have his left eye. And from Erudex I acquire my other trinket, the Mark of Kardros. Satisfied with the spoils of conquest, I decided that I would get the last chunk of XP in the ocean. You see, both all my friends that played WoW and everyone in the world chat seems to unanimously agree that Vajir is potentially the worst zone in the game. I came into this with an open mind, intent on proving them wrong. Here's how that went. I saved some sailors from drowning, battle crustaceans, and gather various shells and corals. So far, this place was serene inner peace, which didn't last long. Pointlessly defending an already capsized ship from Zinjatar raiders, I get abducted, presumably to be used as a trophy tradwife concubine. Luckily, I was saved from a life of servitude by the one thing they won't expect to get hit with at the bottom of the ocean. Fire. From here on out, this is where I feel like the zone starts taking the piss. I try to tame a turtle, and after a long, strenuous bonding session, I ride my new underwater mount for 5 seconds before it's eaten by a shark. So instead, Moana has me attempting the brave feat of luring and subduing an abyssal seahorse. Optimally, I would use this rope and lure to distract the seahorse and jump on its back. What I didn't expect was for the seahorse to tie me to the rope, pull my soul from my vessel, and project it onto its own consciousness. I became the seahorse. This was akin to sleep paralysis, except the whole experience was my demon. All I could do was watch this fella slowly RP swim to his destination. This self-reflective journey took a whopping 3 minutes, which is a really long time to wait patiently. For reference, in this dungeon, Blizzard has us listening to Brain finishing his yapping for 4 minutes. So really, this is 1 minute less tedious than the intended game design. After an extensive kerfuffle, I successfully tamed my underwater mount. My actions from here on out were visceral in nature, downright carnal. I abandoned every quest bestowed upon me, and took it upon myself to explore the deepest depths of the abyss. The abyss. Okay, I promise, that was the last one. Eventually, I found myself at the very bottom of the ocean, one mob away from glory. I could think of no ascent more categorically fitting for our hero than to cowardly run away from a chasm stalker. Hey, there's no shame in that. Stalkers are terrifying. These mobs are getting downright parasocial. By typing Grats, Matukas narrowly dodges a frame-perfect G-Quit and unknowingly permanently alters the future of our guild. It is now, here, in my moments of greatness, that I clue you all in on my master plan. The expected outcome would be for me to stop playing World of Warcraft, but somewhere along the way, I passed the point of no return. Somewhere between level 1 and 85, I stopped caring about the level and grew ever so more interested in pumping. Rose-tinted, nostalgia goggle wearing, stuck-up, wrong opinion wielding, retail playing, burnt out, no longer content creating WoW veterans might say that this damage meter is way overdue. I know for a fact I got it at just the right time. This is where I get heroic leave. arguably the most iconic warrior ability. You may also notice that 4 levels after attaining Colossus Smash, I actually start considering whether I should press it someday. Every battle fought and every challenge overcome have all led up to this point. Every muscle exerted, each drop of blood, sweat, and tears, each time I puked, pissed, came and shit myself. We're all building up to this moment. What's the ultimate end game? Why did I do it all? So I could run Dead Mines. In Season of Discovery, I really couldn't justify it past 2 cruel barbs, but with the addition of reworked heroics, I finally get to run my favorite dungeon at the highest level. The circle of perfect game design is complete. It all loops around. The gear I have is banned by the Geneva Convention. My rotation is perfected, down to the frame tick, and I got the sharpest APM on the entire server. So it must be a bug that I'm at the bottom down here. Surely it's a bug that I can fix without speccing into ARMS. Right, guys?
So my gear is pretty cracked on my hunter here. I feel insanely powerful on this character. Ability right there. Thumbs up some. So, there's not much in here.
Guys, upon realizing that there were goblins spiking me with their homemade deliriums, I realized I was experiencing good game design. There are green dudes on a ledge dropping bombs on me in a futile act of vengeance after they saw what I did with the anthrax barrels. When I came here, I really wasn't expecting dive-bombing kamikaze crows, nor the fog of dreams. But deep in my soul, I knew instinctively that Cookie always was the penultimate boss of Dead Mines. And he's in a cauldron cooking himself just to make it even for the players. Nuts. But you gotta remember, rogues can stealth, and whilst we were busy with the Murloc, Vanessa swiftly injected us all with the Nightmare Elixir, a potent concoction that takes us into the nightmares of all the bosses. Glubtuck being his own greatest nightmare is probably the most metal thing I've seen in a while, and people dying to easily avoidable game mechanics will never not be funny to me. But watching James mercilessly hold his wife over the edge in a recreation of how their marriage ended is a stern reminder of how dark and twisted the WoW lore actually is. From my perspective, I was battling other people's demons. To the outside world, I was unresponsive and foaming at the mouth. World of Warcraft really is kind of like Comic-Con, and this is the part where we boot Vanessa from the convention for having a shit cosplay. Like most bad cosplayers, she's rigged the entire place with explosives. That's the telltale sign of someone underestimating the SWAC. When I said fast, vicious, unrelenting, and nimble, I wasn't just listing words, I was describing myself. If you wanted me to die in a hellfire, you should have put convenient ropes to swing from next to your death trap. With no more aces up her sleeve, Vanessa was forced to receive the raw damage of our pump, completely impregnating her. And thus concludes the story of how one brave night elf reintegrated into fantasy society. Would our hero go on to kill Deathwing and save the Alliance, or would they once more succumb to a depressive hibernation spanning millennia? Find out next time on...
Hey y'all, Scott here. I want to play Super Mario 64 on the go, but there's gotta be an easier way. Super Mario 64 is the game, okay? It revolutionized gaming with its expansive 3D worlds, its 360 degrees of pure unrestricted movement. The fact this was all at the launch of a console, and it was and still is good. Mario 64 could be considered gaming's magnum opus, an accomplishment unlike anything seen before. Hell, I'm not sure if we'll ever see anything like this ever again. Guess what? Super Mario 64 DS. Yeah, it's Super Mario for the Nintendo 64 for the Nintendo DS. Okay, sure. Here's beans for your mouth for your floor. But what? This is the game that changed games forever. This huge technical and graphical leap. Now
Yeah,
on
I'm
a
out.
cartridge.
I'm done
This
for now as well. Super Mario DS though was pretty great. But for now I'm done.